10, in fact, with Haslam, Sykes and Locatelli all in their pit boxes as well. As far as the leaders are concerned, the only two out on the circuit at the moment, number 45, Scott Redding, currently
loses 0.4 of a second to top rack in that final sector, and in that final sector, no one's gotten closer than 0.4 to top rack, so that is where the Yamaha's working really well at this stage. Obviously, you expect to see, it's no surprise that in a section of the track where you really need to brake on the angle, that the Yamaha's just got that bit of extra performance in some of the other bikes out there, so that is where the Yamaha's really strong. We've seen it so far around this track that in the middle sectors it has been a case of the Kawasaki's and the Ducatis having a little bit of an advantage, but that can all change now in the final 10 minutes of the session.
Yeah, so it's not sort of a Ducati problem in that last sector, it's more about top rack and the way he works with his Yamaha.
Yeah, everyone's going to have a bit of a top rack problem in that final sector, and you can see Verlo's making his way out of the pits. He's already put 11 laps under his belt, and that's good to see as well, considering the injuries that he's had over the course of the last few rounds. And hopefully for him it is a case of being back on form and back to closer to full fitness and being able to ride a little bit more uninhibited than he had been in recent rounds.
Several riders though waiting a fair while before among them. You'd suggest that riders might perhaps have been expected to really put in as many laps as possible as far as track familiarisation was concerned.
Well, I think that's why we saw some longer stints at the start of the session, riders going out doing 8 or 9 laps and then coming into the pits and making some changes to the bikes and then going out for these final 12 minutes, and you'd expect to see everyone stay out all the way through until the end of this session now.
Yes, KRT leaving it late to return to the circuit, as we've been saying, but a couple of other riders also out onto track, Andrea Locatelli and Tati Mercado just completing their installation laps. Not quite sure what Michael Van der Mark was waving his hand about there. We might be about to see it.
Big moment there as he backshifts down in towards those ever-tightening right-handers at the end of the lap, and for Van der Mark, he's able to at least live to fight another day, and he's going to rejoin the track and still be able to set some times to sim, just coming through turn 1 down in towards 2 and 3. This is one of the tighter sections of the track, but it opens up from 3 onwards through turn 4, 5, 6. It really is opening up all the way through until we get to turn 10 at the end of the back straight.
Scott Redding's just gone across the line for a new personal best, 1 minute 37.504 for Redding. So the standings now with just over 10 minutes remaining. Razgat Lioglu 9/10 clear, Rinaldi second fastest, Bassani third fastest, Jonathan Ray fourth, and Scott Redding fifth. A fair number of Ducatis up towards the front of the field.
Yeah, and certainly that's what Scott Redding's going to expect to see through the course this weekend, is that Ducati have the performance to be able to get to the front. He wants to be a spoiler. As it is right now, he's 5th fastest, but you'd expect to see him find some performance as we move through the sessions today. But Ducati, they can be that spoiler if the bike works and it's in that right operating window. We've seen them so strong all the way through this season. This could be one of those tracks that really does suit it, and the reason for that is we're going to have really high track temperatures. We're at 63 degrees track temperature at this point, and it's only going to get hotter through the rest of the day. If you think back to the likes of Misano, when we had high track temperatures earlier in the season, that's when we saw the best from Michael Rubin Rinaldi. If you think back to when we saw some great performance from Bassani as well, that was with the high track temperatures.
Yes, at what track temperature does the track temperature indicator start to break? Because if it's going to happen, it's going to be the up. It's already the temperature right up there.
Well, I think the humidity meter is definitely broken, because it's only saying 58, and it certainly feels a lot more than that, than 58%. But it is hot and sticky and difficult conditions for everyone here in Indonesia. And speaking to a lot of challenges that they'll face this weekend, one of the big things is just getting your body to cool down after you've been out on track. That's why we're going to see the riders with their little paddling pools out the back of the garages, and they'll get straight into that once they finish the session, bring down their body temperature, get themselves cool, and start the recovery process, because that's one of the big challenges that you have in World SBK. With 3 races in a weekend, it's really difficult for these riders. Very different challenge to what you have for the likes of MotoGP riders, where you've got, you know, Friday practice, physical to try and manhandle the bike over the course of a 21-lap race, that you're going to need to have an awful lot of concentration to avoid making mistakes, and that's one of the big challenges for the riders. Physically, they can deal with that a lot because of how hard they train, and they're all prepared for that physically, but mentally as well, you can't afford to make mistakes.
Well, the ones who will struggle with it the most inevitably will be the riders who've been out injured, the riders still recovering from injury. I know Chaz Davies was not fully fit by any stretch of the imagination when he went to Argentina last time out, and was struggling for race fitness as much as anything, having been off the bike clearly through that injury. He might be among the riders perhaps who will struggle.
Of Chaz's favourite tracks, one of the places he went really well, because traditionally his fitness has been a big advantage for him, and that is one of the areas where some riders in the past had a big advantage over others. Now pretty much everyone on the grid is super fit, and that advantage that you might have had, it does get minimised quite a bit. But if you just have that small 1% advantage, it can make the difference over the course of 3 races in the weekend.